Here's the quiet room, the war room, the prayer room. Man, this is the closet. Yeah, I can get some peace and quiet in here so I can be heard clearly. All right, so let's get to these questions. Hello, everybody. It says, explain the plea bargaining process. The plea bargaining process, this is an agreement between the individual that's getting prosecuted and the court system. And it's saying that either I'm going to plead guilty or I'm going to plead no contest so the court system can give me a lesser punishment. They can give you time served or even possible no punishment. All right, so let's get to the next question. The next question says, list the elements of a valid plea bargain. A valid plea bargain has three basic elements. All right, so first, the court has to have jurisdiction. It can't be any court saying, okay, I'm going to give you this. The court that decides to give the plea agreement has to have jurisdiction over this case. The defendant who is accepting this plea has to be competent. And I forgot the last one. Oh, and the defendant who is accepting it has to voluntarily accept it. He can't be coerced or blackmailed or, I don't want to say scared, but intimidated into choosing the situation. I kind of want to tell you a story of an individual I know as it relates to the plea bargaining situation. I knew this guy who was arrested for getting into an argument with his then girlfriend. And when he got arrested, he ended up getting a felony of assault on an officer. He ended up getting a felony of child endangerment. And he also got a misdemeanor for, I believe it was, resisting arrest. Well, when everything came out, the assault on the officer really wasn't an assault. He just was like moving around, wouldn't let him handcuff him. The child endangerment was not because he did anything to the child, but because the child was there when he got pepper spray. And the resisting arrest was just that, resisting arrest. So while he was locked up, his court-appointed lawyer never came to see him. So after being there, I think he said around 3 months or so, he went to court. And they told him that if you plea bargain, if you sign right now and say that you're guilty of the sorry about that, y'all, of the resisting arrest, then you'll get time served. Well, long story short, if he had seen his court-appointed lawyer or talked to a lawyer, he would have known that wasn't the best option. Because at the end of the day, what ended up happening is he ended up getting adjudicated probation for the other two crimes. That means after he finished the probation and got an expungement and paid some money, everything would have been off his record. That would have included that crime also. So by taking that plea agreement, he actually put himself in a worse situation. And that's for a question later on. I'm not sure what the question is, but it's going to fit right into that well. All right, let's go to the next question. What are the three basic elements of the court accepting the plea? All right, first of all, the court must have jurisdiction. So if a court tells the one getting prosecuted that, hey, if you do this, you sign this, you'll get that, and it comes to find out that that court doesn't have jurisdiction, then that plea bargain will be null and void. Now, what I do not know is, could they use that as evidence against that person in court? So I'm not sure about that situation. Secondly, the one getting prosecuted or the one taking the plea agreement has to be competent. He has to know what he's getting into. He has to be in the right mental state, and it cannot be coerced, and they cannot blackmail and intimidate you into choosing the plea agreement. But I know from many people that a fear tactic has been used against people to take pleas even when they're not guilty. So that's going to kind of go into excuse me, later on how I feel about should we or should we not have the plea bargaining system. Define the role of a judge in the plea bargaining process. All right, it's the role of the judge to have jurisdiction, to make sure that everything's done in decent order. The one getting prosecuted has a competent lawyer or is aware of the case, and there's no coercion or intimidation to the plea bargain. It's also his responsibility to make sure that he is taking care of the state or the person who's getting who the one getting prosecuted has did some kind of negligent behavior to. So he's supposed to be a balance in between the system, making sure that everybody is getting justice. Create and sorry about that, I'm steady sliding down. Thank y'all so much for your patience. Create and provide an opinion on whether plea bargains are right and if you're in favor of them. That's, to me, no matter who you are, if you're completely biased against plea bargaining, all right, and then on the other side, if you're completely biased against plea bargaining, I don't think either stance can have a complete 100% leg to stand on. Because no matter how you looking at it, the plea bargain system is something that is beneficial on both sides. Sometimes, and maybe more often than others, is more beneficial to the court system, but it can be a win-win situation where, say, the person who is accused of something, maybe they're not a troublemaker. Maybe they just got into a little bit of trouble and they're taking care of their business, they're working, they're taking care of their kids and their family, and getting a felony over a misdemeanor might set them back financially, might take them out of their children's lives, may just put them in a position where it's not beneficial to them, it's not beneficial to the courts, to the family, to the state, nobody. At the end of the day, it really makes everything worse, and to maybe appease somebody and just prove a point. Now, also, you can look on another side and say that person A who pled down to a lesser sentence, or maybe the judgment was completely removed because he signed on somebody else doing something, or he had a really great lawyer, whatever the case may be. But this guy, this young lady, she needs to get punished. She's gotten away with way too much. This may be the thing that turns their life around. Excuse me. In so many ways, I'm saying sometimes people who get a plea bargain don't benefit from it. The families, the state, they don't benefit from it. Now, let's look on the other end. It takes a lot of money to go to trial. A lot of time people can get railroaded because they don't have the proper defense, or because they don't have private investigators to prove them wrong. They may be completely in the right, but because they go to trial and they have biased jurors that have a lot of time have predetermined misconceptions, already have a made up mind when they go in there that they're going to plead guilty or not guilty, or the judge is maybe running for re-election, and they cannot plead against this type of case. Maybe it's a man in a sexual misconduct case, and he has been is under the radar for having sexual misconduct with different coworkers and stuff. And then the guy comes in with a sexual misconduct situation. You can't guarantee it, but it does increase the likelihood that judge is going to lead toward convicting you, because he wants to prove his stance and add to his potential innocence of being against sexual misconduct. So in a nutshell, my view isn't for or against. I think it's something that it's the people element that it comes down to. Sometimes it works in the favor of the state and not the defendant. Sometimes it works in the favor of the defendant and not the state. And sometimes it flat out doesn't work at all. So I don't believe that it should be removed, but I believe that checks and balances need to and always be put in place. And at the end of the day, I don't think it'll ever be a perfect system, but you can increase the likelihood, you can improve it and make it better, where men and women are not being railroaded because of that lack of representation, and the court system is not, it's not, I can't really articulate that side of it where I can make myself clear. But anyway, this was an extra long. It's 10 minutes and 30 seconds. I hope y'all were able to ride with me through this whole ride. Man, God bless y'all. I appreciate y'all. Read up on plea bargain. It's great.